Greek shame. Captain Sophocles, son of Venizelos. Year 1914. Europe was uneasy, ready to explode at any moment, and as if just waiting for a spark. Austrian Crown Prince Archduke Franz Ferdinand, year 1863-1914, his wife Princess Sophia were assassinated by the surname Gavrilo Princip during a parade in Serbia. In fact, unlike Emperor Franz Joseph, 81 years old, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was opposed to the war. That spark exploded the bomb. Ferdinand's death was the beginning of the World War I. Austria declared war on Serbia. Russians was on the side of the Serbia. Germans was on the side of the Austrians, and it was ready to give everything to fight. In the meantime, Germans invaded Belgium with the aim to invade France. Britain was uneasy by the power of German war technology. Britain, France, and Russia declared war on Germany, and First World War began. Meanwhile, the West Europe was making plans for Eastern Europe. The main aim was to divide and demolish the Ottoman Empire, which has a large land, rich sources. The Union Progress Party was heading of the Ottoman administration, and head of the party was Enver Pasha, Talat Pasha, and Cemal Pasha. Enver Pasha was as a Polish origin, Christian, and was sympathetic to Germans. Britain seized 2 warships, which was ordered by the Ottoman, also did not refund the money which paid in advance. This situation angered the Turks very much. Armored cruisers called the Goben and Breslau, running away from Allied forces in Mediterranean Sea, came to Istanbul and converted their names to Yavuz and Midilli, joined the Turkish fleet. German soldiers, officers, wore a fez on their heads and bombarded the Russian coast on the north of the sea, Black Sea. So the Turks became clearer which side they were on. Turkey was now allied to the Germans. Britain, France, and Russia declared war on the Ottoman immediately. Anatolia was like a bridge connecting Europe to Asia, Europe to Africa, which is called Satan Triangle. The purpose of the West was to completely move Turks from Anatolia. Eyes of the world was on Bosphorus and Constantinople. So Allied forces declared war on Ottomans with all severity. The aim of Britain and France were to enter the Marmara Sea by passing Dardanelles, Gallipoli, Bosphorus, then strike at the heart of the Ottoman Empire with hundreds of bombing sorties from their warships. Their first aim was to share the rich soil and the other rich materials known as the liquid oil, Petra, Black Diamond. Israel was taking away the best of the flock, but the Allied forces were stopped in Dardanelles, Çanakkale. This time God was on the Turkish side. After a long bloody battles, Turks would just see their moon star in the sky. Nothing would be the same as before, but Turks reached the end of their ropes. Turks who have a great love of freedom was free, has been free, is going to be free forever. The war drums began to play on the road to freedom. The Turks were preparing for the last push. They would change the course of history by saying, "Peace at home, peace in the world," because the Turks would fight to the last man to defend the land of the great empire. The Turks did not know how to fight in the moonhole, so despite winning the big victory in Çanakkale, his ally Germany lost the war. Enemy forces began the invasion. The top officials of Britain, France provided the Greeks, which has always been used as a cover by them, with occupation of Izmir, Bursa, and Mudanya. Occupation lasted 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. The Greeks did persecutions towards the Turkish people and shedded a lot of blood in their addition to rape, molestation, and rudeness. At that time, Greek Cypriot people and Armenians living together with Turks in the area turned their coat and cheered them enthusiastically. Ottoman Empire was like a large flower garden. There were many kinds of flowers in many colors, and all of them could be smelled. But the top officials who brought forward the nationalism began eventually disintegrate the Ottoman Empire, 1914. In this region, Ottoman was the most important element that holds together everything, but they break up and divide the country. You can see that the other countries divide the country, which is not to make both ends meet. And we'll see. The occupation was the most difficult years of the people of Bursa. This was a rather pathetic situation that even if the world had fallen on their head of Turks, it wouldn't hurt so. But why Bursa suffered so much? The privacy of Anatolia was raped and had collapsed from their pain. How did it happen that the people in Bursa condemned to starvation by confiscating all the goods, ammunition, and food supplies by Greeks? With independence of war and fundamental organization of law has become sovereignty unconditionally belongs to the nation. In other words, reign. Caliphate was abolished, war of liberation, and ended with 9th of September 1922. Liberation of Izmir, Mudanya in October 13, 1922. Liberation of Izmir, 11 September 1922. Liberation of Bursa, 11 September 1922. The 12th September 1920 liberation of Mudanya began the Treaty of Mudanya. Mudanya armistice opened the way to Lausanne Treaty. Lausanne Peace Treaty was signed in Beowulf Palace, which on the shores of the Lake Leman in Switzerland, Lausanne, on the 24th July 1923. In Armistice Home, Ismet İnönü, British General Harrington, French General Carpetti, Italian General Mombelli signed agreement which finished the war on October 11, 1922. Same time, Russians was troublemaker for the Ottoman Empire. Romanov family, with second Nikolai, attacked to the west and wished to have Constantinople, the Bosphorus, which wells eyes and heart. Caucasians attacked from the east. Turks were in a difficult situation as they fight on the several fronts. Meanwhile, a civil war has started in Russia. Bolsheviks, communists to control Nikolai II. Nikolai, whose brother was the King of England, asked for asylum, but history is cruel. His brother refused to help him. The Bolsheviks executed Romanov family by firing squad. Therefore, Turks did take a deep breath. Greek forces, who was under command of Dedet, called the Captain Sophocles, son of Venizelos, which was helped and sent by the other forces. As soon as he arrived to Bursa, his first duty was to release prisoners to create a chaos. He went to the armory with soldiers. He fired his pistol 2 times by looking down from the castle. Down, down. This was the psychological pressure. The intimidation, he sent telegram to Greece for photographer. At that time, with the 3-legged printing machine, bellows glass with negatives, films, arrives. Sophocles is drunk and goes to the Topane, where the tombs are. With the soldiers aim to destroy the Osman Gazi and Osman Gazi's shrine. As he was attacking the castle with soldiers, he broke down the door of the tomb of Osman Gazi. It was like a replay of the war in 1453 and 1326. The head turban of Osman Ghazi's sarcophagus was so majestic that soldiers were startled for a moment of fear. Sophocles was photographed putting his foot on the front of the sarcophagus of Osman Ghazi, founder of the Ottoman Empire, follows between the Constantinople, and he pulled out the sword loosely. He said, "En garde," as if he was fighting the dream of Osman Ghazi in front of Osman Ghazi's tomb. Sophocles kicked the tomb with the effect of drunkenness. His courage, he said, "Hey, Osman Ali, wake up and look. Up, magnificent Osman, up, wake up and look. We destroyed the state you founded. See your last position." This event found great interest in the international public in the world press. His photo was published with great satisfaction as head news. Turkey spent nearly a brain trauma because of his painful incidents. Finally, chaos had become dominant and everywhere no longer vulnerable. Turks were preparing for all-out war with the last attempt for peace. Turks never and will never be captured. Poor Turks, what was your sin that time? The God was on the other side. Black clouds gathered over the Bursa. The wind was even crying for the status of the supreme state Aliye of Osmaniye, which lost its son. That angered the wind. It could turn the magic fire in the Nilüfer stream. Then the wind rapidly blew direction of Keşiştepe. Patriot officers by the Ottomans raised Mustafa Kemal and his friends. Anatolian people, Efeler, Zeybeks, Balkan immigration, who know what was losing ground, gave the start of the war independence by saying, either freedom or death. Then God would upset the Turks. Then crying wind would blow from the east to reserve. Turks could hit back with the war of independence from Anatolia, with the slap in the deadhead Greek face. Britain, France, fearfully fled without looking back before the deadhead Greek, eating discarded bones. While they were fleeing, they cowardly killed 11 young army cadets around the Hacivat Bridge near the Ankara Way. We remember them with respect. God bless them. And